Some people call me the space cowboy. Yeah. Some call me the gangster of love. Some people call me Maurice. 'Cause I speak of the pompatus of love.
What's going on out there, fellow Tightwads, fellow Cal Bears fans, fellow members of the Calgorithm? Hope y'all are doing good out there. Been a good couple of weeks since last time we came at you. Got a lot to talk about from the last 2 weeks, and of course a lot to look at ahead for the next 2 weeks as the 5th season of the Bear Raid continues on down the road. Let's go ahead and get things underway here on show number 56 of the Bear Raid, presented by Tightwad Hill. And good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it is that y'all happen to be tuning into this. This is the 30th and current sitting governor of Tightwad Hill, Keith Salminen, coming at you on what is currently the evening of February the 15th, just a little bit before 9 o'clock. Got a little bit later start than I wanted to on getting ready to get this recording going, as we had a late grocery order come in. Had to go feed my dogs before this whole storm came in and just push things back a little bit later than I wanted to. But hey, at you here, coming at you. Great couple of weeks for Cal Athletics, so definitely got a lot to talk about from the past 2 weeks since the last time we came at you. And obviously, of course, taking a look at what's on tap for those various Cal Athletic programs between now and the next edition of our show in the beginning of March. Just yours truly coming at you for this edition of the show. No Tad Dillinger III, no Donnie Knucklehead Hudson. We had planned originally to record audio at the Cal baseball home opener a couple days ago, but just really cold night. Tad got there a little bit later than planned, so ended up not going through as originally planned with getting that audio. So as a result of that, it will be just myself coming at you solo for this entire edition of the show. And on that note, let's go ahead and get things underway here on this 56th edition of the Bear Raid. And before, of course, we get into the Cal Athletics talk that we normally do here beginning of the segment, which roughly about this time of the year, it's primarily Cal off-season news and what's been going on with Cal Rugby. Little tidbit and info I wanted to make sure I got out to everybody for an event that will be beginning at the start of next month, is back on February the 4th. It was announced by the University of California that Go Girls, Go Bears, Go Play is currently set for March 1st. California Athletics is hosting the third year of the Go Girls, Go Bears, Go Play event at Edwards Stadium on March 1st. Youths of all genders, backgrounds, and abilities from ages 6 to 13 are invited to learn about a variety of sports from Cal student athletes and local community partners at the free event, which is slated to run from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Attendees can register on Eventbrite. All youth participants earn free admission to the Cal women's basketball game versus SMU at 2 p.m. at the Haas Pavilion on March the 1st. Go Girls, Go Bears, Go Play is a product of the Carmen Institute for Student Athlete Development, which hosted the first two iterations of the event in 2024 and 2025. The inaugural event was slated to take place at Edwards Stadium, but Go Girls, Go Bears, Go Play had to move indoors at Haas Pavilion due to rain. The event still drew 1,000 people, and last year there were 2,000 attendees at Edwards. We saw a need for opportunity for our student athletes in our community to come together with local partners to give kids a space to access sports and be able to show them the joy and benefits that come from playing sports, said Taylor Perez, the Carmen Institute's Director of Community Engagement and Partnerships. There's a lot of barriers to entry and access for girls, women, and those females identifying who want to get involved in sports. We're excited to build upon the successes of the past 2 years and be able to invite more and more youth from our community to Cal to interact with our Cal student athletes. Several Cal men's and women's teams, including field hockey, men's and women's soccer, rugby, women's rowing, volleyball, men's water polo, and football, as well as the Cal Women's Rugby Club team, are expected to participate. The Bears and their community partners, including Bay FC, the Oakland Stroke, Albany Berkeley Girls Softball League, Albany Berkeley Soccer Club, Female Footballers, Special Olympics, NorCal, and many more, provide hands-on experience about numerous sports at approximately 35 stations located around Edwards Stadium. All the teams have jumped at the opportunity to participate in an event like this, Cal field hockey goalkeeper Audrey Post said. Even the male teams identify with the goals of this event and of exposing kids to the benefits of athletics. The event highlights the participation of women and girls in sports. Some of the other community partners that the Cameron Institute works with to put on Go Girls, Go Bears, Go Play include the Positive Coaching Alliance, which is hosting a booth at Edwards, Sutter Health, which will give out T-shirts and menu nutrition kits, I believe I'm reading that right. Bras for Girls, which will pass out sports bras along with the Berkeley Unified School District, Oakland Unified School District, Oakland Athletic League, and West Contra Costa Unified School District. A member of the Student Athlete Planning Committee, who also took part at the in the event in 2024, Post has enjoyed how Go Girls, Go Bears, Go Play has benefited the many kids who have attended and has been a boom to Cal field hockey as well. It's incredibly fulfilling, she said. It's been wonderful for my team. One of my team values is community engagement, and this event aligns with that value and shares what a positive experience sports has been now and growing up. To share that and empower young girls, let me start over with that again. To share that and empower young girls with this event has been amazing. For more information, please visit the Go Girls, Go Bears, Go Play website, which you can access by going to the calbears.com, Cal Athletic page website. Again, Go Girls, Go Bears, Go Play will be going on at March 1st over at Edwards Stadium from 11, let me make sure I got the times right on this, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. That, again, is on March the 1st. All righty, let's get into the Cal athletic-related news that we'll be discussing for the remaining majority of this portion of the show. Go ahead and start off, of course, first with some off-season news for the Cal football program, as, of course, since the last time we came at you, and also happening to be announced and taking place on February the 4th as well, was the addition of 34 new members of the Cal Bear family. As, of course, on February the 4th, it was National Signing Day for the college football program, and Cal, of course, adds 34 players to its 2026 football roster. Head coach Tosh Lupoy announced on February the 4th that the California football team has added 34 players to its 2026 roster, including 32 via the transfer portal, as well as 2 additional high schoolers. The additions bring the number of newcomers on Cal's 2026 roster to 50, including 40 who are enrolled for the 2026 spring semester and already on campus. Cal's 2026 transfer portal class is ranked 2nd in the ACC and 14th nationally, according to 24/7 Sports. The incoming group consists of 15 newcomers on offense, 16 on defense, and 3 on special teams. The offensive newcomers include 6 offensive linemen, 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, and 1 quarterback, with the list consisting of offensive lineman Jacob, let me make sure I'm reading this right, Jacob Arop out of South Dakota, quarterback Jackson Bursaro out of Colorado State, running back Ashton Emroy from UTEP, wide receiver Chase Hendricks from Ohio, offensive lineman Jimothy Lewis Jr. from Mississippi State, running back Adam Mohammed from Washington, wide receiver Cooper Perry from Oregon, offensive lineman Mikhail Rebus from FIU, offensive lineman Anthony Rivera from Kent State, wide receiver In Strong from Rutgers, offensive lineman Khalil Tafoya from Minnesota, tight end Duran Thomas from New Mexico, offensive lineman Roger Vanderorf out of Grant High School, running back Chris Vargas out of UC Davis, and tight end Rico Walker from Purdue. Hendricks and Strong, both in their 4th collegiate seasons in 2026, have had productive collegiate careers at the wide receiver position with a combined 333 receptions, 3,284 receiving yards, and 23 touchdown receptions over 75 games and 51 starts in their first 3 campaigns. Well, Thomas came on in 2025 of career highs with 56 catches and 560 yards, receiving to rank as the 3rd and 8th most among the nation's FBS tight ends. Emory, 119, 569, 4 TDs. Mohammed, 106, 523, 5 TDs. And Vargas, 67, 448, and 4 TDs, combined for 292 carries, 1,540 yards rushing, and 13 touchdowns on the ground a year ago. On defense, Cal brought in a group of 16 players with 5 defensive backs, 5 edge players, 3 inside linebackers, and 3 defensive linemen joining the Bears. The list includes edge Justin Beatles from Louisville, defensive back Ricky Fletcher from Ole Miss, defensive back Marcus Groves Killebrew from Arizona, defensive back Daniel Harris from Georgia, defensive back Michael Hurst Jr. from Northern Arizona, inside linebacker Tristan Jerrigan from Texas A&M, defensive lineman Jericho Johnson from Oregon, defensive back Kingston Lupa from Oregon, inside linebacker Kamar Mathudi from Oregon, edge Manuel Okoye from Tennessee, edge Joshua Pierce from North Texas, edge Sosia Noah from Grant High School, defensive lineman Ashawn Shepard from Mississippi State, inside linebacker A.J. Tootle from USC, defensive lineman Jaden Williams from North Texas, and edge Solomon Williams from Texas A&M. 7 defensive players, those being Fetcher, Harris, Jagan, Johnson, Lupa, Mathundi, and Solomon Williams, played on teams that reached the 2025 college football playoffs, with Fletcher and Harris both starting 3 games. The 7 were among a total of 9 Cal newcomers on teams that advanced to the college football playoff last year, with the others, Perry and long snapper David Bird. A total of 23 were on squads in the 2025 season. The return of Bird, who spent 2 seasons at Cal from 2023 to 2024 before playing at Alabama last year, headlines the 3 added specialists, which include punter Agus Davies from Tulsa and place kicker Towns McGraw from Auburn, who have also joined the Bears. According to 24/7 Sports and or On3, the 8 Cal newcomers listed below rank in the top 25 at their positions in the 2026 transfer portal, while Hendricks, number 61, and Strong, number 97, were among the top 100 players as well. Muhammad is number 6. He's running back. Thomas is number 6 for tight ends. Lupa, number 8 for safeties. Harris, number 13 for cornerbacks. Hendricks, number 16 for wide receivers. Bird at 18 for long snappers. Johnson, 18 for defensive line. And Strong is ranked 22nd for wide receivers. So a lot of new faces coming in to help out things here with your California Golden Bears, and it will definitely be interesting to see how much these individuals end up contributing to the football program in this upcoming season and the years to come, because, of course, we all know with the whole NIL stuff, guys are going to be bouncing around like it's freaking free agency in the NFL and all that. So be interesting to see how many of these guys are here for multiple years, or if any of these guys end up just being here one and done because of putting up stuff that obviously has them possibly play their way out of here, or if they don't get used the way they wanted to, they decide to go find greener pastures. Well, either way, one way or another, be interesting to see what goes on with that. So again, your National Signing Day class, 34 bodies added to the Cal football program back on February the 4th. One last little tidbit, I should say, of Cal football news that I did want to touch bases on before we move on into other athletic programs here, and as this 56th edition of the Bear Raid rolls on. Former Cal defensive back, make sure I'm pronouncing his name right, Hezekiah Masses was on the official invite for the 2026 NFL Scouting Combine, with this news, of course, being released back on February the 11th. The event is scheduled to take place February 22nd through March 2nd at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. Top front office executives, coaching staff, player personnel, department, and medical personnel from all 32 NFL teams will be on hand to evaluate the nation's top football players eligible for the upcoming 2026 draft. Let's see here. So shout out to Masses for getting the invite, and of course we'll get to see if he continues on what's been dubbed as DBU. With, of course, a lot of successful defensive backs coming out of the University of California over the last several years. That wraps up the football talk for this edition of the Bear Raid, but we obviously still got a whole lot more athletic-wise to cover here on this broadcast before the show is over with. And we got one more sport to touch bases on before we take our first break of the night here on this 56th edition of the Bear Raid. As we move on to a sport that kind of similar to football, not really. I mean, the ball's shaped similar, but it has no seams on it. And it's the one program at the University of California that seems to usually consistently stomp the ever-loving crap out of whoever they end up facing on the rugby pitch. That, of course, is the latest and greatest in what's been going on with the Cal Varsity Rugby program since the last time we came at you, and, of course, what they have on tap between now and our next broadcast on March the 1st. 2 games having gone down for this squad squad since the last time we came at you back on February the 1st / February the 2nd. Both of those games, of course, taking place on the road. The first of those two games going down back on February the 7th up in Vancouver, British Columbia, the World Cup, 100th edition of the World Cup, long-standing rugby rivalry between your California Golden Bears and the University of British Columbia. Cal wasn't able to get the shutout in this one. I know that's something that they're sometimes very notorious for doing when their squad steps on the rugby pitch. British Columbia was able to put a 7th spot up on the board, but it unfortunately would not be enough for them, as Cal Rugby was Cal Rugby. It wasn't a blowout score like we might be sometimes accustomed to, but Cal Rugby picking up the W in the 100th edition of the World Cup as they got a 38-7 victory over the University of British Columbia back on February the 7th. Most recent action for the Cal Rugby team going down what is yesterday for me, February the 14th, which of course was a Saturday, as the road swing continued, heading down to Tucson, Arizona to battle it out with an old rival from the Pac-8, Pac-10, Pac-12 days in the form of the University of Arizona. Kind of a little bit of a sloppy game for Cal Rugby in this one, as when they got to the halfway point, Cal only had a 4-point advantage, as it was at one point 24-20 in favor of the Golden Bears heading into the half. So a little bit of some action and some pushback from an opponent, really, for the kind of the first time, at least here in the spring portion of the schedule. Might have had a few instances where he had some close action like that during the fall portion of the schedule, but this is the first time, really, in the spring that a squad has actually given some pushback against the Cal Rugby program, and it would pretty much continue that way through the entire second half of the match as well. When it was all said and done, Cal would be victorious over the University of Arizona, though they would only have a 6-point win over the Wildcats in this one, as they pick up a 57-51 victory on the road in Tucson, Arizona against the University of Arizona. Let's see here. 2 more matches going down for Cal Rugby between now and our next edition of the show. Another road match going down, and it's happening for what would be, in my time period, tomorrow. That being, of course, February the 16th, an 11 a.m. Monday throwdown at Grand Canyon University for your California Golden Bears, as they will stay in the state of Arizona, heading over to Grand Canyon University for an 11 a.m. match on February the 16th. February the 21st, of course, they will be back in Berkeley this upcoming Saturday for a 1 p.m. throwdown at Witter Rugby Field against Brigham Young University. And, of course, myself, Taddy, and a whole bunch of other tightwads usually will be out there as well. And if you haven't been out there for Cal Rugby, or it's been a minute since you came out there and you want to check out things from the rugby version of Tightwad Hill, that little area you see circled in yellow right there, that's where you can always catch myself, Taddy, and the rest of the Tightwad Hill crew. Again, Brigham Young University, February the 21st, 1 p.m. at Witter Rugby Field. Myself and the guys will be getting set up there on the Tightwad Hill side of Witter Rugby Field at about 11 a.m. with the match, of course, starting at 1 p.m. So, again, 2 games going down between now and March the 1st when we come at you for show number 57, February the 16th at 11 a.m. on the road in Phoenix, Arizona at Grand Canyon University, and, of course, back in Berkeley on February the 21st for a 1 p.m. throwdown with BYU. And, let me go ahead and make sure to go over what the record is currently for the rugby program before I get a little too far ahead of myself. Currently, at this point in time of the 2025-2026 NCAA rugby season, your California Golden Bears have an overall record of 26-2. They're on a 24-game match win streak at this point in time. 3-0 at home, 4-0 on the road, and they are 19-2 in neutral site contests. So definitely going to be looking forward to be back over on the Witter Rugby Field side of Tightwad Hill this upcoming Saturday, the 21st. Feel free to come out there and join us. Otherwise, your only other opportunity after that will be on March the 7th when Navy comes into town, though I'm pretty sure that with how Cal Rugby is, there will most likely probably be some postseason play action involving them. And that finally wraps up things here in the first segment of tonight's edition of the show. But we still got a whole lot more Cal Athletic talk to come your way before it is all said and done. We come back at you from this first break of the night here on show number 56 of TBR. We, of course, will take a look at what has been going down with Cal women's basketball, Cal men's basketball, Cal baseball, Cal softball, Cal ice hockey, and Cal lacrosse. And, of course, take a look and see what those programs have ahead of them in the coming weeks. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back at you here in a bit on show number 56 of the Bear Raid, presented by Tightwad Hill. I'd like to thank, or I guess you can possibly even say blame, Cal Baseball for why 24 Karat Magic ended up being used as a break piece on this edition of the show. On that note, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Tightwads, fellow Cal Golden Bears fans, fellow members of the Calgorithm, as we continue on down the road in this 5th anniversary season for this fan-produced podcast, brought to you by a 103-year-old pile of dirt overlooking a 103-year-old college football stadium in Strawberry Canyon. It is, of course, show number 56 of the Bear Raid, presented by Tightwad Hill. 30th and current sitting governor of Tightwad, Keith Salminen, coming at you solo for this edition of the show. Original plan was to have some audio to use during the off-season discussions for Cal football and for the baseball segment, along with my boys Tad Dillinger and Donnie Knucklehead Hudson when we were out at the Cal baseball home opener on Friday night. Taddy got there a little bit later than planned. It was a little bit colder than we expected as well, so we ended up scrapping things with the audio. So just me coming at you solo here from Dub 6 Studios, located in the Diamond District of Oakland, California. Let's go ahead and get back into the swing of things with the Cal Athletic Talk here on this 56th edition of TBR, as we continue taking a look at what some of these athletic programs for the University of California that are playing currently at this point in time in the spring have been up to since the last time we came at you back on February the 1st / the 2nd, depending on what time it was when you got around to listening to this. And of course, what they have on tap, if anything, between now and our next scheduled broadcast on March the 1st. We'll go ahead and go into things on the hardwood with the basketball programs to start off things here in the second segment of tonight's show. Starting off first with what the Lady Golden Bears have been up to as of late. Cal women's basketball leading off the basketball portion of talk here on this edition of the Bear Raid. Begin with a game that, of course, went down on February the 5th. Road contest for the Lady Golden Bears against Georgia Tech out in Atlanta, Georgia. Cal outscoring Georgia Tech 15-13 in the first quarter, also outscoring them 18-11 in the second quarter to go in with a lead at the half. Only quarter that they would get outscored in by Georgia Tech would be the third quarter, where Georgia Tech would, of course, outscore the Golden Bears 15-12. Cal would outscore them by a single point in the fourth and final quarter of play, 18-17, to, of course, get the victory in this ACC throwdown. Final score, California 63, Georgia Tech 56. Leading contributor for the Golden Bears in this one was Galisa Maui, who was 6 for 10, 1 for 3 from the three-point line, 4 for 7 from the free throw line, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, and 17 points. Over on Georgia Tech's side, Talia Walker was their leading contributor, 5 of 13 from the field, 0 for 3 from the three-point line, perfect 4 for 4 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, and 14 points, as again, Cal picks up the victory on the road against Georgia Tech by a final score of 63-56. Let's see here. I want to make sure I'm not getting too far ahead of myself. Next matchup after that, the road swing would continue for the Lady Golden Bears as they would head out to Pittsburgh for a road contest against the Panthers. Cal would outscore Pittsburgh 28-17 in the first quarter, outscore them 26-15 in the second quarter, get outscored 28-24 in the third quarter, and would also be outscored 20-17 in the fourth and final quarter of play. When it was all said and done, though, of course, all that mattered matters is when those points are combined up over the 4 quarters of play. And, of course, for the second road game in a row, your California Golden Bears picking up a victory, winning this matchup against Pittsburgh by a final score of 95-80. Leading contributor for California in this one was Lulu Tweedale, who was 8 of 12 from the field, 7 of 11 from the three-point line, 9 for 10 from the free throw line, 2 rebounds, 7 assists, scoring a total of 32 points for the Lady Golden Bears in that one. Over on the Panthers side of things, Teresa Haggins was their leading contributor, 8 of 20 from the field, 0 for 3 from beyond the three-point line, 3 for 3 from the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 19 points for Pittsburgh in that one. Again, final score, Cal beating Pittsburgh on the road on February the 8th by a final score of 95-80. February the 12th, of course, would be the next throwdown as the Golden Bears come back home for some home cooking, hosting the Virginia Cavaliers on Pride Night at the Haas Pavilion. Cal would outscore UVA 17-15 in the first quarter, outscored them 28-14 in the second quarter. They would then get outscored by the Cavaliers 16-8 in the third quarter and get outscored by 2 points, 13-11 in the fourth and final quarter of play. When it was all said and done, though, another victory for the Lady Golden Bears as Cal takes down the University of Virginia by a final score of 64-58. Leading contributor for your Golden Bears in this one was Sakim. Let's see here, make sure I'm getting these names right. Sakima Walker. Okay, I was reading that right. 7 of 10 from the field, 6 of 6 from the free throw line, 10 rebounds, 1 assist, and a total of 20 points for the Lady Golden Bears in that one. Over on the Cavaliers side of things, their leading contributor was Tabitha. Tabitha Amaze, who was 5 of 12 from the field, 4 for 5 from the free throw line, 4 rebounds, and 14 points. As again, another victory for Cal, taking down the Cavaliers on February the 12th by a final score of 64-58. Most recent game action for your Lady Golden Bears was earlier today. Well, earlier today for me at the time of me recording this, but February the 15th, most recent action for the Golden Bears is, of course, they stayed at home for another contest at the Haas Pavilion and hosted the other Virginia college, that, of course, being Virginia Tech. Cal would outscore Virginia Tech 13-12 in the first quarter, get outscored by Virginia Tech 21-16 in the second quarter, outscore Virginia Tech 14-11 in the third quarter, and then would be outscored 24-15 in the fourth and final quarter of play as Cal takes the L, unfortunately, in this one, losing by 10 to Virginia Tech by a final score of 68-58. Let's see here. Carlia Wenzel was the leading contributor for Virginia Tech. 2 of 10 from the field, 1 for 3 from the three-point line. Did most of her damage on the free throw line in this one for a perfect 10 for 10 from the foul line. 3 rebounds, 1 assist for a total of 15 points. Over on the Golden Bears side of things, Aaliyah Puff Morris was the Bears' leading contributor, 4 of 12 from the field, 3 for 5 from the three-point line, 4 for 5 from the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and 15 points for the Lady Golden Bears. Again, they dropped this contest earlier today at the Haas Pavilion to Virginia Tech by a final score of 68-58. Upcoming contests for Cal women's basketball between now and our next broadcast on March the 1st will be as follows. February the 19th, they will head out to Tallahassee, Florida for a road contest at Florida State that will begin at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. February the 22nd, they will stay in the state of Florida for an 11 a.m. matchup against the University of Miami at Miami. February the 26th, 7 p.m., back at the Haas Pavilion, as, of course, on February the 26th, Cal will be hosting Clemson for Black Cultural appreciation plus faculty staff appreciation. And then next day of our let me start over that. Same day as the next edition of our show, March the 1st, which is a Sunday, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at the Haas Pavilion. Senior Day plus Go Girl, Go Bears, Go Play, which I talked about early in the broadcast. The Lady Golden Bears will be at home for a 2 p.m. tip-off on March the 1st against SMU. And that, of course, will be the regular season finale for Cal women's basketball. At this current point in time right now, Cal has an overall record of 16-11. They're 7-7 in conference play. They're on a one-game losing streak at this point in time. 12-3 at the Haas Pavilion, 3-5 away from the Haas Pavilion, and they have a neutral site record at this time of 1-3. Let's go ahead and take a look at what the standings currently are around the ACC on the women's basketball side of things. Just waiting real quick for the standings to load from the ACC website. Duke currently sitting on top of the conference right now with a 14-0 conference record and overall record of 19-6. Louisville is second at 14-1 conference play, 24-4 overall. Syracuse third at 11-4 in the conference, 21-5 overall. North Carolina fourth at 10-4 with an overall record of 21-6. North Carolina State is also 10-4 in ACC play with an overall record of 17-8. Virginia Tech and Virginia both have conference records of 10-5. Virginia Tech's overall record is 20-7. Virginia's overall record is 18-8. Clemson currently has a ACC record of 9-6, an overall record of 18-9. Notre Dame is 8-6 in conference play, 16-9 overall. California Golden Bears, of course, 7-7, even 500 at the moment in conference play with a 16-11 overall record. Georgia Tech 6-8 in conference play, 11-15 overall. Stanford 5-9 in conference play with an overall record of 16-11. Miami is 5-9 in conference play with an overall record of 13-12. Florida State 4-10 in ACC play, 9-17 overall. Wake Forest 3-11 in conference play, 13-13 overall. SMU 2-12 in conference play, 9-17 overall. Pittsburgh 1-13 in conference play with a 8-19 overall record, and in last place with an 0-15 conference record and an overall record of 4-24 is Boston College. So a couple of those schools currently that are on the road trip sitting behind California. So definitely some winnable matches coming up for the Lady Golden Bears, and definitely with the season getting ready to wind down, got to definitely take full advantage of that to try to either get in as a bubble team for the women's edition of March Madness, or if not, then try to do, I guess, what you can pretty much to get into the women's version of the NIT. So definitely interesting 2 weeks ahead for the Cal women's basketball team. And I guess when we come at you on the first, second, or if anything happens and the show gets later with that, we'll have to ultimately wait and see what they'll be doing, if anything, for postseason play when it's all said and done. Let's go ahead and stay on the hardwood, but switch over to the men's side of things, as, of course, we take a look at what the men's basketball program has been up to since the last time we came at you, and what they, of course, have on tap between now and our next broadcast on March the 1st. Most recent action for the men's basketball program was back on February the 4th against Georgia Tech, as well as so both teams having both recently taken on Georgia Tech teams. Women's basketball, it was on the road. In the men's case, it was back at home when they took on Georgia Tech back on February the 4th. Cal outscoring Georgia Tech 43-29 in the first half. They got outscored 56-47 in the second half of the game, but it was all said and done, ultimately adding up both totals from the half. Cal would be victorious, winning this contest on February the 4th against Georgia Tech by a final score of 90-85. Leading contributor for Cal in this one was Deadea Amos, who was 9 of 13 from the field, 3 for 4 from the three-point line, 8 for 10 from the free-throw line, 1 rebound, 2 assists, and scored a total of 29 points in the game for Cal. Jaden Mustafa was the leading contributor for Georgia Tech in this one, 5 of 9 from the field, 2 for 3 from the three-point line, 2 for 2 from the foul line, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and a total of 14 points. As again, Cal picks up a victory of a 90-85 over Georgia Tech on February the 4th. February the 7th, men's basketball would remain in Berkeley for a matchup against what was then the 20th/19th ranked team in the country in the University of Clemson. Cal would get outscored 39-20 in the first half of the game. They would only get outscored by 3 points in the second half of the contest, 38-35. But it was all said and done, L being handed to the Golden Bears in this one as they drop that contest at the Haas on the 7th of February by a final score of 77-55. R.J. Godfrey was the leading contributor for the Tigers in that one. 6 of 8 from the field, 1 for 4 from the free throw line, 5 rebounds, and a total of 13 points. Over on the Golden Bears side of thing, Justin Pippen, yes, the son of Scottie Pippen, the leading Golden Bear contributor in this loss for Cal. 6 of 13 from the field, 2 for 6 from the free throw, three-point line, 5 for 5 from the foul line, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 19 points. As again, Cal drops that February the 7th contest to Clemson by a final score of 77-55. Next matchup would be on the road in Syracuse at the University of Syracuse in a stadium that, of course, not only hosts the Syracuse basketball team but also is used for the football program as well. Syracuse Cal each throwing up 35 points apiece in the first half of the game, and they both put up 43 points apiece in the second half of the game. So, hey, go into overtime in this one, but wait. Both teams scoring 13 points in the first overtime period, so it would take a second overtime to ultimately decide this one. And unfortunately, Cal just ran out of gas in the second overtime period, getting outscored 16-9 and ultimately losing the contest to Syracuse in double OT by a final score of 107-100. Leading Syracuse contributor in this one was Nate Kings, who was 8 of 14 from the field, 3 for 8 from beyond the three-point line, 8 for 14 from the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and a total of 27 points. Leading Golden Bear contributor was Day Amos, who was 10 of 25 from the field, 0 for 5 from the three-point line, 3 for 3 from the free throw line, 1 rebound, 2 assists, and 23 points in that one. Double OT thriller that unfortunately your California Golden Bears dropped by a final score of 107-100. Most recent game for the men's basketball program was yesterday at my point in time right now while I'm recording this, that of course being February the 14th out in Boston College, a little road action going on for the Golden Bears here as that road swing continues. Cal outscoring Boston College 43-28 in the first quarter. They would get outscored 47-43 by BC in the second half. But hey, it was enough combined, obviously, at the end of the day for Cal to get back into the win column after that double OT loss in Syracuse. Cal picking up the victory over Boston College on February the 14th by a final score of 86-75. Leading contributor for the Golden Bears, Chris Bell, who was 8 of 13 from the field, 6 of 10 from the three-point line, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, and 22 points. Over on the Boston College side of things, Fred Payne was their leading contributor. 5 of 15 from the field, 2 for 7 from the three-point line, 4 for 5 from the free throw line, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and a total of 16 points. As again, Cal getting the victory over Boston College on February the 14th by a final score of 86-75. Upcoming contest for your California Golden Bears between now and our next show on March the 1st. They got 3 games on tap, and all 3 of them will be at the Haas Pavilion in Berkeley. First of those 3, February the 21st, 3 p.m. tip-off against good old heated rivalry, the basketball version of the big game, as Stanford comes into town for a gold out at the Haas of Pain on February the 21st. Again, Cal Stanford, February 21st at the Haas Pavilion, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. February the 29th, which is a Wednesday, you'll have a 7 p.m. tip-off at the Haas Pavilion versus SMU. And then the day before the next edition of the show, February the 28th at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at the Haas Pavilion, Cal will be hosting the University of Pittsburgh. And then, of course, Cal actually has 2 more games ahead of them after things. So they'll be playing a couple extra games with, of course, the women's basketball program wrapping up things the same day as the next edition of our show. Cal will have 2 more games out beyond that, but, of course, we'll preview those on the next edition of the show. But between now and March the 1st, you have a February the 21st home contest against Stanford, a February the 25th home contest against SMU, and, of course, a February the 28th home contest against the University of Pittsburgh. Cal men's basketball currently is 18-8 overall. They're 6-7 in conference play. 1-game win streak. They are 14-13 at the Haas. They are 3-5 away from the Haas, and they have a 1-0 neutral site record at this point in time. We did it for the Lady Golden Bears. Let's go ahead and do it for the men's Golden Bears as well and take a look at the current standings for men's basketball over in the ACC. Duke sitting on top with a 12-1 conference record and an overall record of 23-2. Virginia sitting in second with a 10-2 conference record and an overall record of 22-3. Clemson third with a 10-3 conference record and an overall record of 20-6. Miami is currently fourth with a 9-3 conference record and an overall record of 20-5. North Carolina State is 9-4 in conference play with an 18-8 overall record. North Carolina and Louisville are both 8-4 in conference play. North Carolina overall is 20-5, while Louisville overall is 19-6. SMU is 6-6 in conference play with an overall record of 17-8. Your California Golden Bears, Virginia Tech, and Syracuse have conference records of 6-7. Overall, California 18-8, Virginia Tech 17-9, and Syracuse overall is 15-11. Florida State next in the pack at 5-7 in conference play with a 12-13 overall record. Stanford is 5-8 in conference play with a 16-10 overall record. Wake Forest 4-8 conference play, overall record of 13-12. Notre Dame is 3-10 in conference play with a 12-14 overall record. Boston College is 2-10 in the conference with a 9-16 overall record. Georgia Tech and Pittsburgh tied for the basement in the conference right now, with both teams having 2-11 conference records. Overall, Georgia Tech is 11-15, while Pittsburgh overall is 9-17. So 3 games coming up for the men's basketball program between now and March the 1st when we come at you again. All 3 of those games going down at the Haas Pavilion. So, hey, if you haven't had a chance to go out and catch Cal men's basketball this year, may want to go ahead and take that opportunity to do that over the course of the next couple weeks. Because, again, they're similar position, basically a bubble team at this point who pretty much needs to damn near pretty much win out, or they could be on the outside looking in as well. So definitely a lot going down on the hardwood for not just the men's basketball team, but for the women's basketball team here in the coming weeks. All righty, let's go ahead and move from the hardwood to the diamond and touch bases on a sport that used to be the primary sport that I used to discuss on podcasts for many, many years, as of course for those of you that might have forgotten, prior to doing and starting up this show for the long time, and of course was associated with a baseball podcast known as A's Fan Radio. I don't get to talk that much baseball anymore because of the fact that we killed off AFR when the A's decided to relocate out of the city of Oakland. But hey, springtime, as long as we don't cat off like we have the last several years, first spring in a while where we've actually been consistent on doing shows finally here on the Bear Raid. Leave it to the 5th season for us to finally get consistent on trying to get through an entire full year and not just do the fall semester, then cat off and not do the spring semester at all. Spring semester, that's when I actually do get to talk a little baseball, and the baseball season getting underway literally just a few days ago for your University of California Golden Bears. And myself, Donnie, and Taddy were on hand for the home opener on Friday the 13th at Stu Gordon Stadium, Evans Diamond. California beginning the 2026 NCAA baseball season, hosting the University of Santa Clara in what was originally slated to be a 2-2 series. Friday and yesterday, home games at the University of California, and then today and Monday they were supposed to, of course, have played 2 games down in Santa Clara. Little bit of a weather issue here in the Bay Area kind of changed things around with that, and we'll, of course, get into that here a little bit. First things first, though, here's what went down in the home opener for Cal baseball. Cal and Santa Clara basically trading goose eggs through the first 3 innings of Friday's contest before Santa Clara would get on the board first with a single run in the top of the 4th inning. 5th inning, wheels kind of fell off the wagon for the California Golden Bears as Santa Clara would put up a 7 spot in the top of the 5th. Pretty much pitching change, meltdown right out the gate. Pitcher ended up walking in a run with the bases loaded at one point. Ugly situation. Again, 7-run spot for Santa Clara in the top of the 5th. They would go on to score 4 runs in the top of the 6th, and their final run of the contest in the top of the 7th. The only 2 runs that the California Golden Bears got across in this one were 2 measly runs that they put up in the bottom half of the 7th inning. So, hey, good news, they avoided the shutout. Bad news, game over after 7 innings because of the mercy rule as Cal gets smacked in the home opener by a final score of 13-2 at Stu Gordon Stadium. And, yeah, a little bit of a, again, ugly one going on out there in that one. Again, hey, they pretty much, controlled things in the early going. Looked good, shutting down things on the pitching staff side, but then just, again, 4th inning, down by a run, okay, that's manageable, and then just that 5th inning, man, just blew up in the Golden Bears' faces. So not a good night as far as the baseball action, but definitely was great to be out there. First time since basically the watch party for the Hawaii Bowl that myself, Taddy, and Donnie have been gotten together. We tried to get Donnie out the last couple rugby home games, but catted off and ended up not joining us. So the first time that the 3 of us, the basically full-on cast of the Bear Raid, being out there. Also got to see Mike the Hot Dog Mayor out there, a couple members of Right for California, and, of course, some hardy members of the Calgorithm being out there as well for what ended up being an ugly one for the California Golden Bears as they lost by a final score in 7, 13-5. Saturday's action should have been the days the day I went out there that we should have gotten together and watched that, as that Cal would end up playing a doubleheader at Evans Diamond / Stu's Gordon Stadium yesterday, mainly the result of the fact of inclement weather being in the forecast for today, of course, today for me here in the present being Sunday, and the possibility of inclement weather for Monday the 16th as well. So Cal would end up playing a doubleheader at Stu Gordon Stadium. One of those games, of course, supposed to be accounting for one of the 2 games happening down at Santa Clara, but it becomes a home game, of course, for Cal. Game 1 of the doubleheader would go down as follows. Santa Clara getting on the board first with a 2-run spot in the top of the 3rd inning. Both teams scoring a run apiece in the 4th inning. Santa Clara adding on a single run in the top of the 5th. Cal would answer back with 2 runs in the bottom of the 5th inning. Santa Clara wouldn't be able to put anything else up on the board after the 5th inning, while Cal would score 1 run in the bottom of the 8th and would get the go-ahead winning run in the bottom of the 9th to walk off in Santa Clara in Game 1 of the doubleheader by a final score of 5-4. Cal 5 runs, 12 hits, 1 error. Santa Clara 4 runs, 11 hits, no error. Clark picking up the win for Cal, improving to 1-0. Lands taking the loss for Santa Clara as he falls to 0-1 on the season. So, hey, not bad. A little back and forth battle. Definitely a whole lot better than the game that went down the night before over there at the Stew. And it's always great to see a walk-off win just coming from somebody that, got to see a lot of that in recent years. Maybe not very frequently, but Oakland, of course, becoming the walk-off capital of the world for many years in the 2010s and the 2020s, even when the A's were struggling. And that magic would continue on over into Game 2 of the doubleheader. Santa Clara getting on the board first for the 3rd game in a row as they would score a single run in the top of the 4th. Cal would tie the game up with a single run in the bottom of the 6th and take the lead with a 2-run spot in the top of the 7th. Santa Clara would tie the game up with 2 runs in the top of the 9th, but for the 2nd game in a row and for the 2nd time on Saturday, Cal would once again walk off, mind you, in both games of the doubleheader, walking off to win this one by a final score of 4-3. California 4 runs, 6 hits, 1 error. Santa Clara 3 runs, 6 hits, 1 error in the contest. Lopez picking up the win for the Bears to improve to 1-0, while Scherber takes the loss for Santa Clara, falling to 0-1. Let's see here. Again, they were originally scheduled to play a game today down in Santa Clara. That was, of course, canceled because of inclement weather. Still waiting to see ultimately if that game gets rescheduled and played tomorrow. That's, of course, obviously going to hinge on what the weather's like down in the South Bay for February the 16th. So possibility of one game against Santa Clara that will get recapped on the next show. Maybe that doesn't end up happening because the weather. We'll have to wait and see. Outside of that, between now and the next time we come at you here on the show, here's what Cal Baseball has on tap. February the 20th through the 22nd will be a 3-game set out in Irvine at UC Irvine. February the 20th, 6 p.m. first pitch start time. February the 21st, a 1 p.m. first pitch start time. And then February the 22nd will be a 1 p.m. first pitch. All three of those games, again, February the 20th through the 22nd down in Irvine, California at UC Irvine. February the 24th through the 25th will be a quick little 2-game series at Stu Gordon Stadium against UC Davis. Game 1 on February the 24th at 6:05 p.m. Over at Stu Gordon Stadium. And on February the 25th will also be a 6 p.m. contest. Again, both of those games against UC Davis. February the 25th through March the 1st, so game going on the same day we come at you for the next edition of the show. 3-game set in Berkeley against Sacramento State. Game 1 on February the 27th at 6:05 p.m. Game 2 on Saturday, February the 28th at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And the finale of that series against Sacramento State will be on Sunday, March the 1st at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Cal Baseball here in the early going is 2-1 overall. 2-game win streak after the walk-off wins in their doubleheader on February the 14th. 2-1 at Stu Gordon Stadium. No away games, no neutral site contests because they have played all their games so far at the University of California. Technically, we're sticking to the diamond at this point in time, though we're making the switch over from baseball to softball. And, of course, let's see what the Lady Golden Bears have been up to as they, of course, got underway as well between the last time we came at you and now. First game for them was back on February the 6th, as of course February the 6th through the 7th, February 6th through the 8th, the Cal softball program took part in the Stanford Invitational over at Stanford, California. First game they would play in was on February the 6th against 24th ranked Oklahoma State. Cal unfortunately losing that contest by a final score of 8-3. February the 7th would be another matchup against 24th ranked Oklahoma, and they would lose that contest by a final score of 15-2. February the 7th, they would also take on San Jose State and lose that contest by a final of 10-2. February the 8th, they would pick up a 1-0 victory against San Jose State before they would close out against Stanford on February the 8th and lose to 17th-ranked Stanford by a final score of 7-2. Silicon Valley Classic just wrapped up over the course of this weekend. So Cal starting off things with a lot of tournament play here on the softball side of things. First game of the Silicon Valley Classic for Cal softball was on February the 13th against Utah. They lost that contest by a final of 7-2, but they would pick up an 8-2 victory over Santa Clara in the second game of the night on Friday the 13th. February the 14th, they would pick up a 9-4 victory early in the day against the University of California at Santa Barbara before they would drop the afternoon contest to Santa Clara by a final score of 8-4. And the final game that they played in that tournament was, of course, earlier today, February the 15th, an 8-4 victory against Illinois State. Coming up next for Cal softball between now and our next show on March the 1st, we have the Mary Nutter College Gate Classic going on from February the 19th through February the... Let's see here. I want to make sure I'm not getting shit mixed up here. The Mary Nutter College Gate Classic going on out in Palm Springs from February the 19th through February the 22nd. Okay, just wanted to make sure I got things right there. Cal, of course, is scheduled for the following teams in that tournament. February the 19th at 10 a.m. versus UC San Diego. February the 20th at 10 a.m. versus Fresno State. February the 20th at 12:30 p.m. versus Nevada. February the 21st at 12:30 p.m. versus Oklahoma. February the 22nd at 9 a.m. versus Auburn. And the final game of that tournament out in Palm Springs will be against Nebraska on February the 22nd at 11:30 a.m. Judy Garmin Classic will follow up that from February the 26th through March the 1st. That taking place in Fullerton, California. Cal softball will play against the following teams in that tournament out in Fullerton. February the 26th at 2:30 p.m. versus VYU, 5 p.m. on February the 26th versus Florida, 12:30 p.m. on February the 27th versus Seattle, 5 p.m. on February the 28th versus Oregon State, 7:30 p.m. on the 28th against Cal State Fullerton, 11 a.m. in the final game of that tournament on March the 1st versus East Texas A&M. Cal softball at this point in time has an overall record of 4-6, 1-game win streak, 1-2 on the road, and 3-4 in neutral site contests at this point in time. Next show, we'll have an update, of course, on where Cal softball will be splitting their time for their home games this season because, of course, for those of you that don't know, Levy-Fricker Field is not available. It's being completely redone and remodeled, and hopefully should be ready to go in time for the 2027 softball season. And, of course, we have to wait until 2027 to see if Cal softball might become a little thing for us to get together and go and watch. So that's what Cal softball has been up to at this point in time. One or two more sports to take a look at here before we get ready to hit the midway point of this 56th edition of the Bear Raid presented by Tightwad Hill. Cal Ice Hockey had some playoff action going on between the last edition of the show and this current edition of the show. 3 games going down in the Pac-8 championship of the ACHA, the American College Hockey Association. Is, of course, Cal trying to make a run in the postseason. First game of the Pac-8 playoffs going down on February the 6th, as, of course, Cal would take on Eastern Washington, and they would completely smack the ever-loving crap out of Eastern Washington in their opening playoff game on February the 6th, as Cal would only allow Eastern Washington 1 goal. Cal would score 14 in that one, so they opened up the Pac-8 playoffs with a 14-1 victory over Eastern Washington. February the 7th would see them square off against the University of Southern California in what would end up being a back-and-forth battle for the entire 3 periods. Cal would edge out the Trojans by 1 goal to move on to the championship game as they would beat USC on February the 7th by a final score of 6-5. Championship game for the Pac-8 going down on February the 8th between some old-school Pac-8, 10, 12 rivals from other collegiate programs. As, of course, Cal would face off against Washington in the Pac-8 championship game. Washington having the advantage for most of the game, Cal fighting throughout the course of it, but when it was all said and done, Cal would not be on the winning side of things as they would drop the championship game to Washington by a final score of 6-3. Cal, of course, would finish up as the Pac-8 runners-up for the 2025-2026 season. So after what was another strong season for this club program, this is literally the only club sports program that we recap here on the show, and I kind of catted off with recapping them as they start in September, and I completely forgot about the fact that they were played until, 2 or 3 shows ago. I was like, oh yeah, Cal Ice Hockey, forgot about them. So dominant season where they had over 20-plus wins, but ultimately finishing up as the runner-up in the Pac-8 as their 2025-2026 season draws to a close. So definitely got to make sure when we do the fall editions of the show later on this year to actually remember to follow Cal Ice Hockey and have them on here. So Cal Ice Hockey done for the year. Last sport that we're going to cover, not the last sport of the night here on the show, but the last sport we're going to cover before we hit up the halfway break point of this edition of the show, Cal Lacrosse getting recapped and previewed here for the first time this spring on the show. Along with baseball and softball, this was the 3rd sport that got underway between the last time we came at you and this edition of the show. Women's program at the University of California, and for those of you that are ever interested in wanting to go check out Cal Lacrosse, they actually do play their home matches at California Memorial Stadium. So I guess technically if we wanted to, we could go and watch Cal Lacrosse from up there. I'm personally kind of not really into lacrosse, but sooner or later I do want to work my way around to at least checking out all of the programs up there at least once. So we'll ultimately have to figure out when I do go and check out Cal Lacrosse. Am I going to pay for a ticket, or am I just going to hike my lazy ass up to Tightwad Hill? Cal Lacrosse beginning their season on February the 6th with a road contest down in San Diego against San Diego State. Cal would pick up the win to begin the year as they would edge out San Diego State on the road by a final score of 13-12. February the 8th, they would be in L.A. to take on USC in a contest that they would unfortunately lose by a final score of 16-9. They would get right back into the winning ways, though, with their first ACC matchup of the year on Friday the 13th at California Memorial Stadium in Berkeley, hosting Florida State. Golden Bears picking up the victory in that one by a final score of 10-9. So 3 quick games going down for Cal Lacrosse to begin the spring here for them. And so far they have a 2-1 record and an early 1-0 conference record to begin things here early in the season. Upcoming matches for Cal Lacrosse between now and our next show on March the 1st are as follows. February the 19th at 12 p.m. up in Eugene, Oregon at Oregon. February the 23rd at 5 p.m. in Berkeley against UC Davis. That, of course, being played at California Memorial Stadium. February the 28th, the day before the next edition of the show, will be a 9 a.m. road contest in Durham, North Carolina against Duke. Again, Cal Lacrosse so far 2-1 overall, 1-0 in conference play, 1 match win streak. They are 1-0 at Memorial Stadium, and they are 1-1 so far away from Memorial Stadium. And that wraps up this segment's edition of the Cal Athletics Talk, and it is the halfway point in this 56th edition of TPR, which of course means, hey, 2 segments down, 2 more to go. Still got the back half of this edition of the show to come at y'all's before things wrap up. We come back at you from this next break on this 56th edition of the Bear Raid. We'll take a look at what is going down and what is on tap next for Cal Women's Gymnastics, Cal Men's Gymnastics, Cal Women's Swim and Dive, Cal Men's Swim and Dive, Cal Women's Water Polo, and, of course, Cal Track and Field. Be right back at you here in a bit on show number 56 of the Bear Raid, presented by Tightwad Hill. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Tightwads, fellow Cal Golden Bears fans, fellow members of the Calgorithm, and more as we enter the back half of this 56th edition of the Bear Raid presented by Tightwad Hill. 30th and current sitting governor of Tightwad, Keith Salminen, coming at you solo for this rendition of the Bear Raid as the 5th season of this Cal fan-produced podcast continues to roll on down the wire. Yeah, seems like it was only yesterday that it was November of 2020 that myself, Donnie, and Taddy finally got the balls rolling on this podcast that Taddy and I had kicked around the idea for doing for years, going back to the early years of me going up there on Tightwad Hill, and that, of course, was obviously as a result of my involvement back then in the early goings with A's Fan Radio, having done stuff with Raider Fan Radio. Took a little bit longer than planned. Of course, the show originally debuted, in a sense, as a segment on A's Fan Radio when the show came back from a hiatus in 2011, before ultimately developing into its own standalone podcast and basically the spiritual successor to A's Fan Radio in November of 2020. Again, me, yours truly, Keith Salminen, coming at you solo for this 56th edition of the show here at Dub 6 Studios in Oakland, California. Donnie and Taddy, again, apologizing for not recording audio at the Cal Baseball home opener on Friday, as again, Tad got there late. It was cold out there, man. We were just doing our best to make sure we stayed warm and had fun, even though Cal ended up getting smacked 13-2 in that opener. And again, kind of makes me wish we should have went Saturday instead, because then we would have gotten to see not only one walk-off, but 2 walk-offs in that doubleheader. But hey, as I mentioned, still had fun being out there with the guys. It was fun, as of course, always seeing my longtime friend Mike Davey and a whole bunch of other longtime members of the Cal fandom out at that one. And definitely planning, of course, on probably heading out there at least once a month as the collective Tightwad Hill group the group going out there as a whole at least once a month. Outside of those once-a-month games, maybe I'll try to hit up a few every now and then. But Tightwad Hill as a whole plans on going to at least one game a month during the 2026 baseball season. And speaking of which, shout out again, or blaming game again, to Cal Baseball, because 2 of the 3 songs used for break music on this show were songs that were played during the home opener on Monday night. 24 Karat Magic earlier in the broadcast, and that instrumental version of Don't You Forget About Me. Yeah, that got played at the game as well. On that note, let's go ahead and get on into the second half of this 56th edition of the Bear Raid as we continue on with recapping and previewing Cal Athletic sports programs currently going down in the spring semester at the University of California. We're again covering the periods as far as recaps go from February the 2nd through today, and of course previewing matchups between now and the next edition of the show on March the 1st. Starting off with this segment, we're going to go ahead and tap in with the gymnastics programs at the University of California, starting off first with the women's gymnastics program. Most recent action for them, we start off with the recap stuff for them on February the 7th, as of course they were on the road taking on Clemson in Clemson, South Carolina. Cal women's gymnastics picking up the victory in that one over Clemson by a final score of 196.950 to 196.900. February the 14th through February the 14th, so I was jumping a little ahead of things here because of the fact they had 3 opponents met on here. February the 14th would be the Metroplex Challenge going down in Fort Worth, Texas, as Cal would square off against Georgia, Air Force, and Stanford in that little throwdown. They would lose to Georgia 196.87. Let's see here. They would lose to Georgia 197.650 to 196.875. That 198.875, though, would be enough to beat Air Force and Stanford. Air Force only able to get 197.750, and Stanford only able to get 196.400. So Cal taking a loss against Georgia, but getting wins against Air Force and Stanford at the Metroplex Challenge on February the 14th. And that's the most recent action for the Cal women's gymnastics program. 4 little quick throwdowns going down for them. Between now and our next show on March the 1st are as follows. February the 20th at 7:30 p.m., Cal women's gymnastics will be at the Haas Pavilion to take on North Carolina at the Belonging Meet since Faculty and Staff Appreciation Night. Again, Cal versus North Carolina in women's gymnastics on February the 20th at 7:30 p.m. Sac State Tri-Meet will go down after that on February the 27th, as Cal women's gymnastics in that little throwdown will take on Sacramento State and San Jose State, and that's what will be going on for them between now and the next edition of the Bear Raid. At this point in time, Cal women's gymnastics has an overall record of 9-4, a conference record of 3-1, 2-match win streak. They are 1-0 at the Haas. They are 2-1 away from the Haas, and they have a neutral site record of 6-3. Sticking to gymnastics, we will of course be switching over from the women to the men and seeing what they have been up to since we last came at you on February the 1st, and of course what they have on tap between February the 16th and our next show broadcast on March the 1st. Just give me a quick second here as I get the schedule pulled up on the telephone real quick. February the 7th is where we pick up for things with Cal men's gymnastics, as they were at the Greensville-Simpson Tri-Meet, taking on Greensville and Simpson. They would lose to Greensville by a final of 306.650 to 306.600. That score, though, for them would be good enough to beat Simpson, who only managed a score of 290.650 in that tri-meet. February the 28th, you'd have the Stanford International. Wait, no, that's what's coming up. My bad. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, so damn. Men's gymnastics only had 1 day of throwdowns since the last time it came at you, and that was all the way back on February the 7th. Their next event is on February the 28th at 4 p.m. The Stanford International Collegiate, as they, of course, will just take on Stanford in that one. That's on February the 28th, 4 p.m. Cal Men's Gymnastics versus Stanford Men's Gymnastics at Stanford, and that, of course, will go down at 4 p.m. Men's Gymnastics at this point in time, 1-4 overall, no conference record, one match win streak. They are 0-1 at the Haas Pavilion. They are 0-2 away from the Haas Pavilion, and they are 1-1 in neutral site matches at this point in time. Okay, let's move on now from the gymnastics to some events in the good old swimming pool, as we, of course, will check in on what the swimming and diving programs have been up to since the last time we came at you, and what they, of course, have on tap between now and the next time we come at you here on the show. Just give me a quick second here. Things moving a little bit slower than I am used to usually here with this phone. Women's swim and dive is what we're checking in with right now, and then we'll, of course, follow that up with the men's swimming and diving program. They have not been active since January the 31st, so I think this is one of the programs where at the time didn't know what was going on with them, though they are on the schedule to have stuff going down between now and the next time we come at you. ACC Championships on the docket from February the 17th through February the 21st in Atlanta, Georgia. They have at least, from what I remember seeing on the schedule, have at least 2 or 3 matches slated to go down in that, so we'll have to ultimately see what ends up with that one. So again, ACC Championships in women's swimming and diving going down February the 17th through the 21st in Atlanta, Georgia. February the 27th through the 28th at the Spikers Aquatics Complex in Berkeley will be the last chance meet, which is kind of a little unofficial end-of-the-year event, which goes down regardless of what happens. So that will be taking place along with the ACC Championships as 2 of the events that will be going down for women's swim and dive between now and the next time we come at you on March the 1st. Women's swim and dive, 3-2 overall, 1-loss streak at this point in time. They're 1-1 in Berkeley, 2-1 away from Berkeley, and no neutral site contests for them thus far in 2026. Sticking with swimming and diving, we'll go ahead and take a look at what the men's swimming and diving program has been up to as of late and what they have going down between now and March the 1st. Again, moving a little bit slower here than anticipated. Still trying to get used to the whole reading the stuff off the phone after many years of doing this stuff off the laptop. But with how touch and go the Wi-Fi has been over here at the studio as of late, that's part of the reason why just lately been doing this stuff off of the good old telephone. Men's swim and dive, last action for them was on January the 30th. Let's see here, February the 15th through the 21st. So basically starting today and going through the 21st is the ACC Championship, and it's showing them scheduled to take on Georgia Tech on this one. So we'll have to ultimately just wait and see and find out what plays out for them in the ACC Championships, which again is today through the 21st. February the 27th through the 28th, they of course have the last chance meet, just like the women's swim and dive program at the Spikers Aquatic Complex. So kind of a similar situation. ACC Championships going down for both of the swimming and diving programs. We'll have to ultimately find out and wait and see what goes on with those when we come back at you for the next edition of the show on March the 1st. Final aquatic program we will check in on with here is the women's water polo program. Take a look at what they have on tap, or had gone down for them since the last time we came at you, and of course what they have going down between now and our next show on March the 1st. February the 8th, Cal Women's Water Polo had a road contest up at UC Davis against UC Davis, which they won by a single point by a final score of 13-12. February the 13th through the 15th, they took part in the, let me make sure I'm going to read this right, the Barbara Calbus Invitational out in Irvine, California. First match in that invitational was on February the 13th against number 5 Hawaii, which Cal won by a score of 16-8. February the 14th, they would take on number 1 ranked Stanford and lose to them by a final score of 14-7. And then February the 15th, the final day of that invitational in Irvine would be against third-ranked USC. Cal would lose that matchup by a final score of 15-12. February the 21st is their next upcoming matchup against UCLA at the Spikers Aquatic Complex in Berkeley, California. That's, again, February 21st against UCLA. That'll be at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time in Berkeley. February the 28th, a 1 p.m. start for a matchup in Tempe, Arizona against ASU. So 2 matches going down for women's water polo between now and our next show on March the 1st. Women's water polo currently is an 8-2 overall record. No conference record at this point in time. A 2-match losing streak. They are 3-0 in Berkeley. They're 1-0 away from Berkeley. And so far in neutral site contests, they have a record of 4-2. Let's go ahead and move out of the pool into the final sport that we'll be covering here on this segment of the show before we get ready to take our final break of the night here on this 56th edition of the Bear Aid. As, of course, we check in on what the track and field squad has been up to since the last time we came at you, and what, of course, if anything, they have on tap between now and the next time we come at you on March the 1st. This is one of those times where sometimes they have stuff on here, and then other times they don't put things on here. So just got to give me a quick second. Alrighty. February the 6th and the 7th, track and field took part in the New Mexico Collegiate Classic, which, of course, was against the Lobos out in New Mexico. Just pulling up recaps here real quick. Let's see here. California Track and Field finished that weekend's slate of competition at the New Mexico Collegiate Classic, adding several more historic performances and personal bests to the Golden Bear season. The group of Cal female hurdlers once again made its presence known across all 3 sections of the competition. 3 out of 4 junior Mara Testa, 8.23 senior. Let's see here. 3 out of the 4 females advanced to the semifinals, while sophomore, Faleo Gowans lowered her PR in the event to 8.73. Of those 3, Testa advanced to the final after posting a time of 8.25 in the semifinal, while Ukawamba recorded a personal best time of 8.45 to move up 1 spot to number 9 in Cal history. Testa ended her day with an acclamation point and ran a career best 8.22 in the final, a tie for the fastest time in program history, matching the standard set by alumni and former teammate Jada Hicks in 2023. Following squad mate Alessandra's record-setting day at the women's pole vault Friday, freshman Sam Novak was inspired to put on an outstanding performance of his own and make his case for a second ACC Freshman of the Week honor, winning his second title of the year in the men's A section with a mark of 5.45 meters that he cleared on his second attempt at that height. By doing so, he crushed his own freshman record of 5.25 inches, also moving into a tie with alumnus Brent Burns for third best in program history. Redshirt junior Seth Johnson, who won the heptathlon title of the 2025 New Mexico Collegiate Classic, retained his crown with a point total of 5.683 of after recording victories in the 60-meter hurdle and the 100-meter, both of which were also Hapathon facility records. Although classmate Luke Buttle no-highted in the pole vault to effectively end his chances at a top 3 finish, he acquitted himself well in the day's final event for a 4th-place finish of 247.70. 5 Bears recorded personal bests in the field events. Let's see what else happened here as well. Let's see here. So, solid performances pretty much down there in that tournament. And that's the most recent action for them was at the Battle Born Classic, which, you had the Battle Born Classic, which went down February the 13th and the 14th, and the Husky Classic, which went down the 13th and the 14th as well, and not seeing any data here, unfortunately, to recap with that. So, damn you, Cal Athletics. Another opportunity where stuff gets mixed up on that one. Anywho, upcoming meets for the Cal Track and Field program are as follows. You have the Let's see, a meet at 8 a.m. on February the 21st at Edwards Stadium. It's the Cal All-Comers meet. That's, again, February the 21st at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time at Edwards Stadium. February 26th, 27th, and the 28th is the ACC Indoor Championship. So we'll have to wait and see if Cal qualifies for that or not. Let's see here. No records being shown, by the way. I guess they don't do that record stuff like the other programs do. And that wraps up the Cal Athletic Talk for this segment of the show, which means 3 down, 4 to go, one more break, one more segment to come your way before show number 56 of the Bear Raid is wrapped up and all said and done. We come back at you from that final break of the evening here on the show. We'll take a look at what's been going down and what is on tap for Cal women's tennis, Cal men's tennis, Cal women's golf, and Cal men's golf. And we'll also preview 3 sports that will be getting started up between now and our next show on March the 1st. Those sports, of course, being Cal Beach Volleyball, Cal women's rolling, and Cal men's rolling. And then, of course, it's my final thought of the night, and then we get on out of here after that. Smoke them if you got them. Fire that medical research. Grab a cold one. But hurry up and get your butt back over here because it's the final break of the night, followed by the final segment of this night, coming your way here in a bit on show number 56 of the Bear Raid, presented by Tightwad Hill. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Tightwads, fellow Cal Athletics fans, and fellow members of the Calgorithm. Final segment of the night coming your way here on show number 56 of the Bear Raid, presented by Tightwad Hill. 30th and current sitting governor of Tightwad, Keith Salminen, coming at you solo, or the entirety of this 56th edition of the show is unfortunately myself, 29th and Governor Emeritus Tad Dillinger III, and Donnie Knucklehead Hudson ended up not recording audio like we had planned on for the football segment and the baseball segment at the Cal Baseball Home Opener on Friday. Tad got there late. It was a little cold. We were trying to stay warm, and unfortunately Cal got smacked in that contest. So pretty much a night where we ended up just hanging out and not doing the audio recording as planned. Taddy, though, looking forward to jumping back and appearing on the show via recording technology when we get some sound bites recorded at the Cal Rugby game on February the 21st. And hopefully Donnie Knucklehead is out there, too. That ends up happening, of course, not just sound bites will be recorded for that rugby game, but since it's been a while since both Taddy and Donnie have popped in here on the show, obviously we'll give them a chance to share some of their input on some of the off-season stuff for Cal football that has gone down since the last time they did join us for a show. On that note, let's go ahead and get the last of the Cal Athletic Talk out and the way here on this 56th edition of TBR. 4 more shows to recap and preview, and 3 sports, of course, to preview that will be starting up between now and the next time we come at you on March the 1st. Let's, of course, start off with the first of the 4 sports that have been underway, and we'll be having stuff going on before we preview those 3 sports that will be getting started up here in the coming days. Starting off first with the tennis programs for the University of California. Checking in first on what the women's tennis program has going on. Been a while for them, nearly a month layover since the last time they had any action. They haven't had anything going on recently, but they will have some matches going on between now and the next time we come at you. 4, in fact, going down for the women's tennis program between now and March the 1st. February the 20th, 1:30 p.m. at the Hellman Tennis Complex in Berkeley. They will be hosting the University of Clemson. February the 21st at 12 p.m., also at the Hellman Tennis Complex in Berkeley. Cal will be hosting Georgia Tech that day. February the 27th, a Friday at 12 p.m., also in Berkeley. North Carolina State will come into town. And then February the 28th at 12 p.m., they will be in Berkeley again to take on Wake Forest. So again, 4 straight matches, all of them at home for women's tennis between now and our next show broadcast. Again, February the 20th at 1:30 p.m. against Clemson. February the 21st at 12 p.m. versus Georgia Tech. Friday, February the 27th at 12 p.m. versus NC State. And, of course, 12 p.m. on February the 28th versus Wake Forest. Let's see here for the women's program if they got okay, they do have a win-loss record. Women's tennis, 2-0 overall, 2-match win streak, 2-0 in Berkeley. No away matches, no neutral site matches yet at this point and time. Alrighty, on that note, we'll go ahead and stick to things on the tennis court, but move over to the men's side of things, see what they've had going on since the last time we came at you and what they got going on between now and the next time we come at y'all on March the 1st. Again, just waiting on the schedule to load up here on my end of things. Most recent action for them was on February the 9th down in San Diego against 13th ranked San Diego. Men's tennis losing that matchup by a score of 4-1. February the 14th is the most recent action for them as they had two matches going on, one in Moraga, one in Berkeley. Out in Moraga, Cal victorious 5-0 over St. Mary's, while the squad that was in Berkeley on February the 14th was victorious 4-0 against the University of the Pacific. Upcoming matches for men's tennis between now and our next show. February the 27th at 12 p.m. in Durham, North Carolina against Duke. And then the day of the next edition of our show, 9 a.m. on March the 1st in Chapel Hill, North Carolina against North Carolina State. Men's tennis, 7-5 overall, 2-match win streak, 4-4 in Berkeley, 2-1 away from Berkeley, 1-0 in neutral site matches. Let's go ahead and move now from the tennis court to the golf links and see what the golf programs have been up to as of late. Starting off first, of course, with the Lady Golden Bears golf program before we move on over to the men's side of things. Just let me go ahead and get the schedule up on here real quick, and hopefully this time they actually have some bloody recaps, because I want to say, just like with some of the track and field stuff, the golf program sometimes forget to put a recap action up as well. We will begin with damn it, here they go again, not posting the recaps. February the 14th through tomorrow, so yesterday, today, and tomorrow, they are taking part in the Alice and Jones Wallace Classic down at Long Beach, or out in Palm Desert, California, against Long Beach State. So I'll go ahead and wait until the next edition of the show to recap everything with this tournament. They're already 2 days in and do have the recaps up for that, but I'll just go ahead and wait until the show on the first and recap everything for this on them when the tournament wraps up, which of course wraps up on Monday. That'll be it. So I'll be basically recapping one match from a tournament that technically is going on right now, but ends tomorrow. Well, tomorrow for me. For those of you, of course, that are tuning in, the last day of that tournament in Palm Springs against Long Beach State University, ending on February the 16th. So I'll take a look at that entire tournament on our next edition of the show. And then they don't play again after that until March the 9th. So we'll be previewing things for them on that end the next time we come at you. So kind of moving along real quickly here in this final segment of the show. Women's golf, 1-1 overall, 1-match win streak, 0-0 at home, 0-0 away from home, and 1-1 so far in neutral site matches. Alrighty, the last of the live sports that we'll be taking a look at here before we preview the three sports that will be getting started up between now and the next time we come at you is the men's golf program. So sticking to the golf links here, but switching side from the... Damn it, man. Why did it go to the women's golf again? Give me a second here as I'm apparently clicking on the wrong things. Still had the women's golf website up for some reason instead of the men's golf site. Here we go. All righty, men's golf. Let's go ahead and see what they have been up to since the last time we came at you and what they have on tap, if anything, between now and the next edition of the show. Damn it. So they were playing in a tournament out in Hawaii starting on Thursday, and that tournament, of course, ended yesterday. Recaps aren't posted up yet for that. Son of a bitch, man. I hate when they do this stuff. So, again, that's another time where I miss over stuff. So much for the recap on the golf program here for this edition of the show. Cabo Collegiate coming up next for the men's golf program. That runs March the 1st through March the 3rd out at Calbo Collegiate. Let's see here. Cabo San Lucas, so they'll be down in Mexico for a couple days at the end of the month. So, yeah, damn. Moving really quickly here through the stuff that is going on. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the 3 sports that will be getting started between now and the next time we come at you. So, getting into the tail end of February, beginning of March, and yeah, still got some sports that haven't gotten underway yet that will be getting underway. The first of those 3 that we'll be touching bases on first here will be the Cal Beach Volleyball program. That is one of the women's sports programs at the University of California, and they will be getting started here real shortly. Again, starting up between now and the next time we come at you. They will begin things with the Outrigger Duke Beach Classic going out in Honolulu, Hawaii. That, of course, will start on February the 19th and run through February the 21st, it looks like. They will spend that tournament taking on Stanford on February the 19th at 10:30 a.m. They will take on LMU on February the 19th at 2:15 p.m. February the 20th against the University of Texas at 10:30 a.m. 3:30 p.m. on the 20th against USC. February the 21st at 11:45 a.m. against UCLA. February the 21st, it will be the last match of that little shindig for Cal Beach Volleyball, and that will be at 3:30 p.m. against the University of Hawaii. Battle of the Bay will then take place February the 27th through the 28th in Berkeley, California. They will face off against Sacramento State on the 27th at 10 a.m., February the 27th at 2 p.m. against UC Davis, February the 28th at 10 a.m. against the University of San Francisco, and then at 2 p.m. on the 28th against the University of the Pacific. So 2 tournaments and a handful of matches going down for beach volleyball between now and March the 1st. Second of the 3 sports that'll be getting underway will be two of the other 2 sports that will be getting underway between now and the next time we come at you will be the rowing programs for the University of California. That's both the women's and the men's rowing program. We'll take a look at how the women's rowing program will be starting off their year first before taking a look at the schedule for the men's side of things. Cal Women's Rowing will begin on February the 28th at Newport Beach, California, with the California Challenge Cup. So that'll be the only thing going on for them between now and we come at you for the next edition of the show on the 1st of March. Men's rowing, let's go ahead and see what they got going down to begin the year here between now and our March the 1st show. Let's get the schedule pulled up here real quick for them. Again, give me a second here. They will begin the year also. Hold on, let me make sure that I didn't pull up the wrong thing here because it shows the men starting at Newport Beach as well, and I just want to make sure that I didn't accidentally pull up one for the other here. Sorry for the delay here, ladies and gentlemen, but so yeah, both programs will be partaking in the California Challenge Cup on February the 28th in Newport Beach. So little one-match action for both of them and a whole bunch of matches going down for Cal Beach Volleyball. And, of course, all those other programs that we discussed in the earlier segments of the show, with the exception of Cal Ice Hockey, having action going on between now and the next time we come at you. And that wraps up the Cal Athletics talk for this 56th edition of the Bear Raid, ladies and gentlemen. As always, for the latest information pertaining to the Bear Raid presented by Tightwad Hill, be sure to check things out at aesfanradio.com/the Bear Raid presented by Tightwad Hill. Follow us at our original social media home on Facebook at facebook.com/Tightwad Hill official. Are you still on Twitter? X, whatever the bloody hell you want to call the Muskrat app at this point. I still personally call it Twitter. If you are still on that hellscape of a site, be sure to follow us on Twitter as well, at TightwadHill23. Past editions of our show broadcasts can be checked out at youtube.com/AceFanRadio. Also, don't forget that we do have a new webpage out there that has the entire history of Tightwad Hill, the history of the governor of Tightwad Hill, and more. That's, of course, at AceFanRadio.com/Tightwad-Hill. And, of course, Used to do the shows live on Twitch. Haven't been doing them live anymore because fuck Twitch because of a whole bunch of damn shenanigans they've been pulling off lately. Show, of course, now exclusively broadcasting on YouTube at youtube.com/AsFanRadio. And that, of course, is where you can catch us when we come at you again in 2 weeks for show number 57 on March the 1st. Finally, my final thoughts of the night coming your way here on this 56th edition of the Bear Raid. Quick reminder once again, Go Girls, Go Bears, Go Play, happening on March the 1st over at Edwards Stadium from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Definitely be sure to get your young girls out there and enjoy a day full of Cal athletics activities that encourage them to partake in athletics, sports, and more. And get a chance to get a free ticket, by the way, to go to the Cal basketball game that night as well. As always, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your support and listening to this fan-produced podcast. Man, again, I'm kind of wishing I would have went to the doubleheader for Cal baseball instead of that smacking that went down on Friday night. Again, it was good to be out there, seeing a lot of familiar faces. Always great to get together with Taddy and Donnie and everybody else from Tightwad Hill, regardless if it's for something like Cal baseball, the Cal rugby games, if we get together for a non-Cal athletic event. Used to do meetups for the A's. Obviously, that's not happening anymore. That's going to be shifting towards support for the Oakland Ballers, and Taddy and I got to start making plans for that because the Baller season, it doesn't start till the end of May, but shit, May will be here before you know it with the way things are going. But always have fun getting together with everybody and seeing them, regardless if it's at a Cal athletics event like the Cal baseball game or Cal rugby, or if it's even outside of things at the University of California. Definitely going to be looking forward to keeping track of things here, and looking forward to doing a show on what will be my last day of being 40. We come at you all for the next edition of the show. After we wrap things up with the next broadcast, I'll be going on to my 41st trip around the sun on this pile of rocks that's the third planet in the Sol system. So final weeks of me being 40 before I turn on over to the good old 41 years old. Definitely looking forward, of course, to checking out Cal rugby action the rest of the way out, making my way out to some more Cal baseball games the rest of the way, and just, running into everybody and doing the whole bunch of things and stuff. So again, thank you all for tuning in. Thanks for the continued support, and definitely be sure to come and check us out again when we come at you on March the 1st. And hey, if you missed any of our past shows, be sure to go and check those out on YouTube. We have an entire playlist that has every single edition of the Bear Raid, all 56 shows up to this point in time, plus the specials that we've done over the course of the years. So definitely, you want to go back and check out something from back in the day, or just want to view shit, definitely go out there and check that out. And again, there's all the websites and whatnot that you can go and check things out. On behalf of the rest of the cast here at the Bear Raid, this is the 30th and current sitting governor of Tightwad, Keith Salminen, signing off here on TBR. Thank you all again for tuning in as always. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day. The views and opinions of our cast, our guests, and our listeners are in no way, shape, or form affiliated with Cal Athletics, the University of California, the Atlantic Coast Conference, or the NCAA. Thank you all again. Keep supporting us. Keep checking us out. Definitely come and say what's up to us if you happen to be out at Cal Rugby or any other events that you see us out at the rest of the year. And hey, be sure to come back here and check things out when we come at you again on March the 1st. Until then, and as always, take care, stay safe, stay blue, stay gold, and as always, roll on, you Bears! Take care, fellow Tightwads, fellow Cal fans, and fellow members of the Calgorithm. We'll see you again for show number 57 on March the 1st.